Okay, so welcome to another episode of GH Move Freaks Hot Take right here on GH Move Freak TV. Like you already know, my name is Tony Asankomah, and when you see the show, you know I have something to say. Most often than not, it's not something that a lot of people would want to agree with. That's why it's called a hot take. But before I dive right into it, please do well to subscribe to this channel if you already haven't. If you have, please hit the notification bell. Try to share this video to as many people as you can. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on what I had to say in the comment section. And let me know your thoughts on the subject matter in the comment section as well. So if you've already done that, let's just dive right into this hot take for today. So yesterday, news broke that the president, the new president of Ghana, His Excellency John Mahama, has appointed a new executive secretary, or is it the deputy executive secretary for the National Film Authority, and no other person than James Gardiner. Right, and you can see James Gardiner over there if you don't already know him. As a matter of fact, I do remember that when people picketed for, I say people because I wasn't in support of the whole picketing idea. Every chance that I've gotten to speak about the National Film Authority, I've always tried to reassert my initial stance, where I've said openly that I felt that the Ghanaian film industry wasn't ready for the National Film Authority, because I've always seen that Ghanaians usually clamor for systems and structures and institutions. And when those systems and structures and institutions are put in place, the same Ghanaians fight against these systems and structures. And I felt from the very beginning, when people were fighting for the National Film Authority, that Ghanaians were not ready for it. And I felt even more vindicated when the National Film Authority was established, and I noticed that it seemed like right from the get-go, people were not happy with the National Film Authority. And for very obvious reasons. For many people that I've spoken to, they were not happy about the National Film Authority because of the executive secretary in no other person than Madam Juliet Santoa Asante. People just don't like her. For whatever reason, people just don't like her. It's no secret. And from the very onset, I felt vindicated because, people were fighting against the system and structures that they thought they needed. But along the years, I've come to realize that indeed, the National Film Authority was really needed for, the growth and sort of like making the Ghanaian film industry what it is supposed to be, right? I can say, or I can go out on a limb and say that the previous, I don't know, at this point, I don't know what to call them, but I can go on a limb and say that the National Film Authority that was being run or led by Juliet Asante did a decent enough job to make the presence of the NFA felt. I think that prior to that, again, for someone like me who didn't believe that there was a need for the National Film Authority, I believe that Juliet and her team have done enough to make the presence of the NFA felt. But that's not the conversation for today. The conversation for today is about the newly appointed executive secretary, or is it the deputy? And this is why I'm recording this hot take, because it's not exactly clear. The initial post I saw were congratulating James Gardiner as the executive secretary. He has come out to say, or in a post which I find very cryptic, with a hashtag that ended deputy executive secretary. And to the best of my recollection, there isn't a position for a deputy executive secretary of the NFA. So my question here is, if James Gardiner has been appointed as the deputy, who is the main executive secretary? Because from all we've seen in the last couple of years, it's more like the executive secretary runs the ship, right? And if James is the deputy, when previously there was no deputy, or there was a deputy that we didn't know about, I don't think there was a deputy, honestly, because in the last maybe 6 years or 5 years that the NFA has been running, or more even, there hasn't ever been a mention about anybody being Juliet's deputy, right? And now we are hearing that James Gardiner has been appointed as a deputy. It's not clear, right? I spoke to somebody about it, and the person confirmed to me that there's no office within the setup or the framework of the National Film Authority that is a deputy executive secretary. Okay, if I'm wrong, then whoever shared that information with me is wrong as well. Maybe it's a newly created, appointment. That poses the question again. Of all the people that could have occupied the position, why James Gardiner? I'm interested in knowing. And I'm asking this question because it's not because I don't think he is suitable to hold an office like that, but I'm interested in also knowing who else was in contention for that, that position. Which other name came up in the conversation on trying to figure out who would be the deputy executive secretary of the National Film Authority? Which other name came up besides James Gardiner? And I'm interested in knowing what led to them settling on the ES or the deputy ES as James Gardiner. It's still confusing. Let's just say he's a deputy, yes. I want to know that. Like I already mentioned, if a gun was put to my head, can I say gun on YouTube? Well, yeah. If a gun was put to my head and I was supposed to choose or write down 100 names, I don't think I would have thought of James Gardiner. So it's really interesting that he's the one that actually is holding that position now. Again, it's interesting because, and I'm not surprised also because several years ago, back on Xylophone FM, shout out to Sammy Flex and the entire crew at Showbiz Agenda, we were having a conversation about the National Film Authority coming into place. And I think the conversation then was we were all supposed to mention names of who we thought would be the executive secretary or who was going to run the NFA. At that time, if you had asked me, and I remember very well that Madam Juliet Asante's name was not on my list, I'm sure everybody in the room on that show at that time, nobody mentioned Juliet Asante except Marco Kwaji of MK Casting. And I remember when he mentioned that name, I was like, really? Like, I was shocked. I was like, okay, of all the names you could mention, why her, And surprisingly, she was the one that got the nod, right? So that goes to prove that it's quite very almost unpredictable for anybody to hazard a guess and know who or why anybody is selected to be in that position. But I'm really very, very, very interested in James Gardiner. I don't know him personally. I've not encountered him personally in any capacity. I've seen him at premieres. I've seen him at events. I think he's generally a very nice person. Anytime I've seen him interacting with people. So I don't know, okay? And I say this with all sincerity that I don't know what influenced the decision, because James is generally not the one, or I don't think I've seen James going anywhere speaking about the industry's issues. Let me just put it that way. Maybe he's been on a couple of interviews where he has expressed concern or has shared his opinion about things, but I wouldn't say he's the most opinionated person when it comes to the industry. Not that it's a bad thing, but I feel like, again, it adds up to the reason why he would never come to mind as someone who would be given this position, right? But that doesn't mean we shouldn't ask these questions, right? For James, I think he has his job cut out for him. Again, because we've seen several situations where people have been appointed in this country as deputies, and they end up not doing anything. They are not able to deliver, and when it's time for accountability, their typical excuse is that, "Oh, I'm the deputy. I needed permission from my boss to do this, or I was essentially doing everything that my boss told me to do, and I couldn't take decisions for myself. I couldn't take initiatives for myself." So it's interesting that we now have to deal with another deputy, especially because of where the NFA stands at the moment. And I'm going to tell you what I think about this exactly. Remember I said that when the NFA was introduced, the people that the NFA, i.e. the industry, started to fight against the NFA. And I felt that the NFA has left, or the past, leadership of the NFA, that assuming that's the situation now, have left a bit of a sour taste in the mouths of Ghanaian filmmakers. And if you speak to any Ghanaian filmmaker, I think, well, let me put this in a bit of a context. If you speak to 10 Ghanaian filmmakers, about 9 or 8 to tell you they are not happy with the NFA and their work so far, right? Hence the question, or people would ask, what has the NFA done so far? What has Juliet Asante and her team done so far being in office running the NFA? That is not a conversation for me to have. Do I agree with most of the things they've done? I think they've done already, like I mentioned, enough to make the presence of the NFA felt, right? Or enough for people to realize that it is really important for us to have an NFA. Do I agree with everything that they've done? Of course, no. And I'm not going to go into details, but one thing I can say, and one thing I've been very vocal at, where I believe the NFA has failed over the years, is making the audience or making the industry players understand every step that they take, right? From the very jump, when they were introduced as the National Film Authority, I felt that they hit the ground running and they expected everybody to run to run behind them. Like, they didn't tell anybody why they were running. They didn't explain where they were running to. They didn't give directions as to how they are going to get where they are running to. They just hit the ground running and they expected everybody to follow them. And I feel that has been the biggest failure of the NFA so far, because you can't get people on board with an idea if they do not understand what you are trying to do or why you are essentially doing that, right? And I've been very vocal about that. I feel that they've been very, very, should I say, almost nonchalant about getting people to understand their initiatives, right? So every now and then you see the NFA doing something and people are like, what is going on? And for them, it's tunnel vision. They are trying to achieve that goal. They do not, it's almost like they do not care if people can keep up with what they are doing. And I've spoken about this. I felt that has been the biggest problem of the NFA. Forget about any other thing that they've done. In my opinion, that has been their biggest problem. They had failed to communicate to people exactly what they were doing, why they were doing it, and hopefully done enough to get people's support of their initiatives. That, to me, if you ask me any day, that would be what I'll say where the NFA has failed. And now that has to be the biggest challenge for James Gardiner and whoever his boss is as the actual executive secretary of the NFA. It would be to make sure that they communicate exactly what they are trying to achieve to the public, what they are trying to achieve, why they are trying to achieve that, how they are going to get there, and essentially get the film industry or players within the industry to understand and rally behind them. As of now, people are congratulating James. Everybody is saying, oh, congratulations, you deserve it. You deserve it. And I ask myself, what really does he deserve? Like, is he deserving of that position because he is a loyal member of the NDC, or he's deserving of that position because James has actively or consistently pushed for a greater Ghanaian film industry? Let's try and separate the two. When we are congratulating him and saying that he's deserving of the position, we should be direct and know exactly what we are congratulating him for. Because if we are congratulating him for being a very passionate supporter of the NDC, then it means that it's rinse and repeat, like I've been saying. It's another situation where a job has been created for somebody that is a party loyalist, right? But if the conversation really is that James deserves this position because he has been consistent, he has been, outspoken, he has been very, very intentional about pushing the agenda of the Ghanaian film industry, then that should be it, right? But anyway, the fact still remains, he has a huge task ahead of him. Let's not kid ourselves. And I've already tried to explain that people do not like the NFA. Industry people are not satisfied with the NFA. Regardless of how you see it, there's almost a hate relationship between the NFA and majority of the Ghanaian film industry players, right? And that will really be the challenge that James Gardiner and whoever his boss is as executive chair would have to face. Getting people to love and support the NFA. For me, I'm eager to see how this really goes. I'm excited to see, especially because, I mean, he's a young man. He's a very, should I say, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I don't know him personally, but I think he's a very likable personality that people would be and like drawn towards. I'm sure he'll be someone that industry people would feel very comfortable approaching, especially the younger generation of talents that make up this industry. And I'm hoping that he grants them a lesson here. I'm excited to see what his first step in that position as the deputy executive secretary of the National Film Authority would be. I'm really excited to see what he does first, because I think that will set the tone for what his leadership or what his reign in that position would be like. But all the same, congratulations to him. I wish him all the best. Yeah, that's all I have to say concerning this. I'm still shocked by this appointment. I'm really looking to see how it plays out, and I'm hoping that most importantly, he gets the support of the industry. Regardless of how anybody feels about this appointment, I hope he gets the support of the industry. And not just gets the support of the industry just because. I hope he's also deliberate about making sure that he gets the support of the industry. If that makes sense, you get it. If that doesn't make sense to you, I don't know what else to tell you. But yeah, congratulations to James Gardiner. And let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on my hot take on this subject matter in the comment section as well. If you already haven't subscribed to this channel, please do well to share this video. Please do well to hit the notification bell. Share this video. So like I said at the other time, on this channel is Alpha Hour now, so please do well to share this video and get many more people to subscribe to this channel. My name is Asankomah, and this has been GH Movie Freaks Hot Take. Peace.